Welcome to another unboxing video for the Retro Shelf, and we have a parcel from Microzeit Publishing in Germany. It's been looking forward to this one. I've taken off the tape and address labels to make the video a little quicker. Let's have a look inside. We've got some packaging to deal with as well. There should be some extra little gifts in there as well. So let's have a look and rummage through the packing peanuts to see what we can find. And we'll start off with the perks on this campaign. So we have, first up we have the postcard and magnet set. So we'll just have a look inside here. Oh, sticky. And so we have fridge magnets, and they're pretty cool in themselves. So there's, I think there's 5 different designs there. So a classic Jupiter lander, loading screen there, Commodore computer, the Chicken Lips logo, the machine, and what looks like Andy Finkel and some of the original Commodore employees gathered around a Commodore PET there, so that's pretty cool. I like the look of those. I put those to the side, and then we got some postcards. So 1982, Wizard of War, which actually got 2 different releases, the Commodore Max version in Japan and the American version, Jupiter Lander. We got Frogger, Ford Apocalypse, 1983, Lode Runner from Broderbund, Forbidden Forest from Paul Norman and Cosme, Indiana Jones in the Lost Kingdom. A lot of people don't remember this one. This was actually by Michael J. Hansen, published by Mindscape, and it's an interesting one because it doesn't tell you how to do everything. And of course, the absolute classic Ghostbusters by David Crane. And speaking of Ghostbusters, another perk on the campaign was the cartridge. It says Unforgettables of Commodore 64. There's several different games available, but this is one I chose, Ghostbusters, which is really cool. Nice, it goes really nice with that. So we'll put those to one side and take out the main part of this, which is Redo from Start, USA and Japan, an oral history of the Commodore pioneers by Microzeit USA and Japan. So I believe this is volume 1. They had plopped down a C64, which I'd never heard of, and said, "Have at it, make us a game with a bow and arrow." I read, experimented, and slowly plumbed the depths of the new machine, trial and erroring my way through the forbidden forest of new technology. Paul Norman, game designer for Cosme Corporation. 1982 to 1985, a period of pioneering spirit and creative freedom. Visionaries, creators and producers from these formative years discuss how their work shaped the Commodore 64 into a gaming phenomenon, and why this era is so remarkable for single developers. And of course, the front cover is a picture of Paul himself. Interview selection: Andrew Kalazniaki, Bruce Robinson, Chris Crawford, Chris Walling, Chuck Benton, Dane Bigham, David Crane, David Lundberg, David Martin, David S. Maynard, who I've interviewed myself, Douglas Carlston, Harry Briley, Hitoshi Suzuki, Jeff Bruett, Julie W. Jewell, John Marvin, John Romero, Judy Braddock, Ken Madel, Ken Williams, Louise Ewan, Michael Crick, Michael J. Hansen, Mike Blackman, Mike Wacker, Paul Norman, Peter Filiberti, Randall Lockwood, Robert Leff, Satoshi Matsuoka, Scott C. Burke, Steve Hales, Steve Penners, Stephen Sidley, and Yash Terekura, including a variety of classic publishers from the 8-bit era: Activision, Briley Software, Broderbund, Comdata, Commodore International, Cosme, Siberia, Electronic Arts, Epix, or Epix, depending on how you pronounce it, HAL Laboratory, Lucasfilm Games, Hessware, Mindscape, Sierra Online, Sirius, Soft Cell, Spinnaker, Synapse, TNF Software, The Codeworks, Tronics, United Microwave Industries, Victory Software, and more. So you can see part of the Commodore 64 collection. And let's Just get some scissors to undo the wrap. And like I said just now, it is of course the one and only Paul Norman on the cover. I was very privileged to meet him at the 8-Bit Symphony in Hull in 2019. So let's have a quick look through the book. Interesting there, to the Commodore pioneers, redo from start. Interviews by Andrea Pacetti, editorial by Marco A. Bredin. There are the interviews, and you see the person and the company they were working for. Volume 1, as I said. The introduction. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Some brief facts on the interviewees. As I say, Paul Norman there. And then what page the interview is on. And then the interviews themselves. So there's Chris Crawford, known as one of the pioneers, founder of the Game Developers Conference. Balance of Power then for the Amiga. John Romero, perhaps better known for his Apple II series games. Satoshi Matsuoka from HAL Laboratory. And HAL started at the time of the PET. And we're involved in Commodore Max. Hitoshi Suzuki, likewise from HAL. Jupiter Lander and Night Driver. Some of his PET games, and then Mole Attack, one of the first computer versions of Whack-A-Mole. And the HAL logo there. Jeff Bruett ported Wizard of War, the second version. There's Golf as well. The Magic Voice cartridge, supported by just 3 games, Golf, Wizard of War and ABCs. Mindbenders. Jeff Brewer obviously went on to be involved in the Amiga. Judy Braddock, who created Solar Fox on the C64. Worked alongside Jeff Brewer and Andy Finkel. International Tennis. David Crane, superb designer, obviously famous for Ghostbusters. There's Decathlon. Went on to more machines. Peter Filiberti ported Pitfall 2 to the 64, which had an extra chip on the Atari 2600, but that's not available on the C64. Doug Carlston, co-founder of Broderbund, had some early hits. Dane Bigham, I mean, fantastic work he did. Load Runner, Choplifter. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Louis Ewens, in-house programmer. Whistler's brother, that's one you might not know. The Arcade Machine. The Print Shop. Ken Williams, co-founder of Sierra with Roberta. Chuck Benton, Jerry W. Jewell of Sirius. Had some interesting C64 games. I did feature on them for Retro Gaming Times. Andrew Kalasniaki, who created Repton, not the BBC game, but this variation on Defender, Stargate. David S. Maynard, I interviewed him for Retro Gamer about Worms, which was republished on the New Wave label. There we go. One of the earliest Electronic Arts games, and our promotion, so advertisements from Commodore themselves. John Marvin, working for Epix. Robert Left. Paul Norman, Monster Trivia, Forbidden Forest, Chernobyl's Aztec Challenge, Super Hugh, Beyond the Forbidden Forest. Fantastic games he created. Michael Crick created Hess Games, aka Golf with the Gold, and Break Street on the C64. Michael J. Hansen. And there we have Indiana Jones and the Lost Kingdom. Clever take on that. Ken Medale worked on some educational games. Steve Hales developed Fort Apocalypse. David Lundberg. Steve Penners. Harry Briley. Mike Blackman and Scott Burke created Escape MCP. Randall Lockwood. David Martin, developer and musician who scored Labyrinth. I love that game. Obviously based on the Jim Henson fantasy film and a forerunner of the Maniac Mansion games, and obviously inspired Habitat as well, the massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Chris Walling. Stephen Sidley. You see quite a few of these programs went on to other machines. Bruce Robinson. Yash Terakura, who was working on the VIC-20 and the C64, moved to HAL America and helped with the actual design of the C64. And there we have the photo, early 1982, US East Coast team. Yash, Jim Redfield, Tim Martin, Rich Launch, Steve Whiskiers, Bob Yanis, Al Charpentier, and Mark Angelina. References, images, and then the list of backers. Usually find myself, there we are. More bites. A bit more about the interviewees. Italian video games history. Thank you. Out of memory. And a piece about Andrea. So, another fascinating book from Microzeit. Another one to add to my retro shelf. So, hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Stay tuned to the channel for more retro shelf, merch stand, and gameplay videos.